Hello there and welcome to Daniel's Infinite Playlist, and today we're going to review another classic album, which means it could be an album that's basically released in the past. It could be last year or it could be, like 20 years ago. And today we're going to review a real classic of the gothic rock and synth pop genre, and that's Clan of Xymox album Medusa. And if you don't know who Clan of Xymox is, well, they're a Dutch band, namely a trio formed by Ronnie Moorings, Anke Volbert and Peter Newton. And these three people, they form Clan of Xymox, which is a band that has also been making music under the very famed record label 4AD or Forward Records. And well, they've always been a band kind of like pushed to the side when it comes to 4AD's legacy, or so I've noted. And I think it's quite sad, because I feel that their music is quite unique compared to all the other releases from 4AD. For example, Cocteau Twins. I love Cocteau Twins, but Clan of Xymox has a little special something. And you can see that Clan of Xymox music, especially during the 4AD area, has been featured in many movies, such as, for example, the horror movie The Guest, which I do recommend you see it. And it was actually thanks to The Guest that I discovered their music at first. But now back to the review. Anyways, how is it to listen to this album? Well, it's a bit like this. I hope you like that. Anyways, we're gonna show you the CD, and you see here, it's quite simple. You see that the album art, I think it mirrors the music quite perfectly. It's very anonymous, but at the same time you can feel like the gothic and orchestral feelings surrounding it. And the album cover, the design is designed by 4AD's resident artist at that time, Vaughan Oliver, who made also like all the other album covers from other bands, such as The Breeders and also Cocteau Twins. He's a genius in art, and I think that this is no exception. I really love this album cover. And if you check inside, well, I'm not going to bother showing the booklet because the booklet doesn't include anything. There's a CD, and well, you see that the credits and the behind, it says produced by Clan of Xymox, and that's actually quite cool that the whole album was produced by all three members. Anyways, a bit of a background for the album. Well, they had already released their debut album, and then they went on to make their second album, which actually broadened their musical landscape a little bit more. The first album was very sparse in its own influences, so a lot of it didn't fit. But then they decided, to broaden their sound a bit more, so that it actually goes up in scale with their own ambitions. And I really think that they actually managed this quite well. And as I said, it features contributions from the three. And yeah, musically, this album is kind of like a blend of synth pop, electronic, a little bit of dance music, but mostly gothic rock, and also dark wave, as some people call it. When they first got their play on BBC Radio, they called this album, the band's sound, as dark wave, and I think that's quite a fit-in description. And also this sound kind of like signifies what the sound for the band was going to be next. More dance-oriented sounds. And fun fact, this band also got a club hit in USA, and I find that actually quite funny, because they sound so anonymous, their name and all, but when you listen to it you kind of understand why. And the lyrics, well, just imagine that you're reading like sort of a romantic novel from the 1800s, and you feel like all of these big and grand and dramatic feelings, and that's how the lyrics are. They're very romantic, they're very dramatic. For example, there's a song called Agonized by Love, and you know, it can sound very melodramatic when you hear it at first, but then you just feel like the feelings, the darkness. And then there's a song that's called Masquerade that feels like if you're invited to this vampire masquerade, and then you're just going there hoping not to get bitten by anyone, by any of the vampires, sorry. So yeah, and what I also love from this album is that the contributions from the other band members, such as Anke Volbert and Peter Newton, they're actually noted more on this album. And I think that they actually, well, I'm not against Ronnie Mooring's songs, I mean the ones where he's singing, but he's a very flamboyant frontman, so both of their contributions actually bring some kind of respite in the album's length, which is quite generous, I think. Oh, and also, what's so cool about this album is that the songs are mostly, you know, like names. For example, like Medusa, Michelle, Louise, Loretine. And I think that may be, you know, kind of quite like how do you say, like a mirror to Cocteau Twins' album Treasure, which also has like a song list that's only consistent of names, but mainly from the Greek mythology. So yeah. What do I give this album? Well, I give it a 9 out of 10. This is one of the great Gothic masterpieces of darkwave and albums. It's both danceable, it's broody, it's very sad as well, and it's an album that you can listen to while having all of these moods, but mostly if you're in a brooding mood. And I feel like this album also doesn't get enough credit, especially from 4AD. I think they should really do like a, I don't know, like a remaster or a compilation of some sorts, because there are so many bands today that have their influences from this band, and there are so many that actually use their sounds and don't actually give them credit for it. And so that's why I think that this album, especially the early 4AD albums, need you know, like new attention, and they're worth it. So yeah, as always, I'm gonna put the artist links down below. And so yeah, go listen to this album if you're in the mood for some gothic romanticism. And yeah, that's it for me. So if this is your first time watching this YouTube channel, then please give a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and you know, just keep on getting tuned to my new updates and new album reviews. One new album review every Wednesday, and another classic album review on Saturday. And so yeah, that's it for me. Enjoy music, enjoy life, people. Vi ses! Hej då!